The drama surrounding Mona Kimura is not the kind that gets manufactured in press conferences or engineered through social media teams working overtime. It is the kind that builds itself organically and relentlessly, one destroyed opponent at a time. 4 fights, 4 wins, 2 knockouts. 2 opponents leaving with stitches and questions they did not have when they walked in. And after every single one of those destructions, without exception, a polite bow to the crowd, because Japanese courtesy apparently has no exceptions. Not even when you have just rearranged someone's face in front of a live audience. This is the story of a woman who should not exist in the sport the way she does. A 25-year-old in a pink outfit with a karate stance that traditional kickboxing has never had a rulebook for, and a kick so uniquely devastating that the gyms of Tokyo stopped calling it a technique and started calling it by her name. When your kick has its own name, it is no longer a move. It is a verdict. And every fighter who has stood across from Mona Kimura has had that verdict delivered to them before their brain even finished processing the fact that a kick was coming. To understand why she is so different, you have to understand what happens in a Tokyo gym long before any crowd ever sees her fight. Every single day, Mona Kimura practices one kick. The same kick. Hundreds of repetitions. A lateral side kick thrown from a karate stance that looks unlike anything professional kickboxing has produced before. Professional analysts who have broken down her mechanics found the specific detail that makes it so impossibly difficult to defend. Mona does not rotate her hips the way a kickboxer does. She uses the karate rotation, shorter, more direct, arriving from an angle that reaches the target before the opponent's nervous system has even sent the signal to block. By the time your body says defend, the kick has already landed. By the time your brain says too late, Mona is already resetting for the next one. In the gyms of Japan, they call it the Mona Geri, the Mona kick, named after her. Because that is what happens when a technique becomes so synonymous with one person that the sport simply gives up trying to describe it any other way. Her professional debut told the entire story in 92 seconds. Koraku Hall, the temple of Japanese kickboxing. Across the ring stood Oiwara, a circuit veteran with the kind of experience that makes fighters look at a girl in a pink outfit and ask themselves honestly, how hard can this really be? The answer came at 1 minute and 32 seconds. Mona planted her karate stance, started working the Monageri sidekick to the body, mixed in push kicks to the legs, and drove Oiwara backward with the kind of invisible wall pressure that left no directions to move except the one Mona had already chosen for her. And when Oiwara convinced herself that the threat was coming exclusively from the legs, a southpaw straight left traveled from guard to jaw without stopping at a single point in between. Knockout, 92 seconds. Professional debut? The veteran who walked in thinking this was a girl in a pink outfit walked out having discovered that pink is now the most dangerous color in Japanese kickboxing. And after the knockout, as if the whole thing were completely unremarkable, Mona bowed, polite, measured. The bow of someone who just finished a calligraphy class, not someone who just knocked a professional veteran unconscious in under 2 minutes. The next opponent thought she had a plan. Satoko Ozawa, another veteran, carried the particular confidence that comes from experience. The belief that if you can just survive the opening minutes, the accumulated wisdom of a longer career eventually does the work for you. Ozawa's plan worked for 1 round, and then the plan started bleeding. Mona returned in round 2 with the same relentless arsenal. Monageri after Monageri, left straights arriving from angles that Ozawa's experience had no map for, constant pressure that turned the ring into a hallway with exactly one exit, the floor. A kick opened a cut on Ozawa's face in the first round, and blood appeared in a Japanese women's kickboxing fight, an event so rare that commentators had no established protocol for narrating it because it simply did not happen. Until it did. Round 2, 1 minute and 8 seconds in, the doctor stepped in. TKO by medical decision. Ozawa arrived with experience and left with stitches. Mona bowed to the crowd again, with the same expression as always, as if making a veteran bleed were a perfectly routine Tuesday activity that required no more celebration than a polite nod of acknowledgement. What makes this story genuinely extraordinary is who Mona Kimura is the moment she steps outside the ring. Because outside of it, she is exactly what she looks like. A 25-year-old Japanese woman who laughs easily in interviews, who blushes when someone pays her a compliment, who invites other fighters onto her YouTube channel with the casual warmth of a neighbor offering tea. She is disarmingly normal, almost hilariously so. In one interview, asked about her upcoming fight, she began answering and then drifted mid-sentence into a passionate discussion about mentaiko, a fish egg delicacy from Fukuoka. The woman who had just made a veteran bleed in a professional fight was sitting there daydreaming about seafood. That duality cannot be manufactured or coached. It is simply who she is. And somehow that makes what she does inside the ring even more unsettling. Then came K1 Genki 2026, the flagship event of Japanese kickboxing. 3 world titles on the line. And on that card, Mona Kimura, a fighter with just 3 professional fights, stepping into the biggest stage the sport had to offer. Across from her stood Eunji Choi, South Korean Max FC champion, the most prestigious combat sports organization on the peninsula, 19 professional fights, MMA experience across multiple organizations, and arms that Mona herself in an interview beforehand admitted were honestly scary. The arms were scary. The fight was not. From the opening second, the Mona Gary controlled every inch of the ring. Every side kick drove Choi backward. Every push kick rebuilt the distance the moment Choi tried to close it. Every left straight arrived before Choi could begin to formulate a response. 9 minutes. 3 rounds. A Max FC champion with 19 fights and experience across 3 major organizations could not land a single clean, significant shot across the entire duration of the fight. Not one. It was the sporting equivalent of sitting down at a restaurant, waiting patiently for your meal, and eventually realizing that the restaurant quietly closed around you 20 minutes ago. You were present for the entire experience. You were never actually part of it. In the 3rd round, the parting gift arrived on schedule. A straight left opened a river of blood across Choi's nose. Second consecutive opponent bloodied. The judges scored it 30-27 across all 3 cards. A perfect shutout on her K1 debut, against a champion with 19 fights, without absorbing a clean shot in return, without breaking composure, and without, under any circumstances, forgetting to bow afterward. 4 fights, 4 wins, 2 knockouts, 2 opponents who needed medical attention after the final bell. A kick that carries her name because the sport ran out of better ways to describe it. Every fighter who walked into the ring against Mona Kimura walked in looking like the experience, the power, and the threat. Every single one of them walked out looking like a lesson. And the terrifying truth that every future opponent has to sit with is this: she only has 4 fights. The mechanics are still sharpening. The timing is still accelerating. The left hand is still finding new angles. Whatever this already is, it is nowhere near finished. The nightmare, as it turns out, is only just getting started. If this breakdown gave you something to think about and left you wanting more, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop in the comments who you think can actually stop Mona Kimura before this run becomes something nobody in the sport can explain away.